Super excited today as we have the healing couple on the show. They are the founders of Reset Breathwork, where they train others to become breathwork teachers. They're spiritual mentors, speakers, and Midwesterners at heart, vegan dessert lovers, wellness junkies. And they're also known as the go-to secret weapon for go-getters and leaders to heal from the inside out, unlock more freedom, abundance, and confidence in their lives and businesses. So, all in all, they are the bridge between science and spirituality, masculine, feminine, and practical and energetic. Super excited to have you on the show. Welcome to you too.
Thanks so much, Christian. Appreciate it. Excited to be here.
Beautiful. So, my first question, obviously, because a lot of people who are listening to this podcast don't know your background yet. So, could you give us a brief overview of your story, your background? How did you become the people that you are today, and how did you decide to make the healing couple a business and a career?
Yeah. So, Cory is a naturopathic physician. I'm a yoga teacher. My background's in psychology. And when we first met, I was living in San Diego. Cory was living in Phoenix. He had just opened up a medical practice. And there was this moment that he described as part of his journey where there was a ribbon cutting moment at the grand opening. And you realize, like, wait a minute, like, this is not my life. Like, most people would think this is really successful. This was my moment. I went through medical school, all that. And, there's 200 people here, mayor of Scottsdale, and like, this isn't it. So, like, what's next, on my path? And that was when we were first, seeing each other. And at that time, I was really diving deeper into breath work. I've been practicing for a number of years. It really helped to help me with anxiety, help me with my diagnosis with epilepsy. So it really helped me on a physical, mental, emotional level. And as I was diving deeper, Cory and I were doing long distance at the time, and I would talk with him, late nights on the phone. We're doing long distance. I was sharing with him my breathwork experiences, and he was like, "Whoa, like this, like, are you sure there wasn't anything else?" Because I'm like telling him I turn into an eagle and I'm like flying high in the sky and I can see my whole life. I can see the world, like all this stuff. And he's just like, and you're flying through caves and all that. Like, what are you on? And he's like, are you sure it was just breath? Right. And I was like, I swear to you. And he's like, wait, I've done breath work before. I've done Wim Hof meditation and pranayama, but like, this is like a whole nother level. And so we ended up, he was like, hey, I'm going along this journey with you. Like, my doctor mind is really curious. So we really dove deep into breathwork together and received a bunch of different trainings. And then we decided, okay, like, we want, like, this is the tool that's helped us the most on our healing journey out of everything that we've done. And so we get to come together and we get to share this with other people. So we put on a breathwork workshop in San Diego. Didn't really think too much of it, but we were just really passionate about sharing it with others, and it took off. And people at the end were like, this changed my life. This was so transformational. When's the next one? Because I need to tell my sister, I need to bring my best friend. Like, everyone needs to experience this for themselves. Like, I feel so amazing, like more calm I've ever felt in my life. And we didn't plan on doing another workshop. Like, we just were putting this on because we were really excited about it. But after that workshop, we drove home and we looked at each other. And I told Cory, I said, we have to keep doing this. And I don't know what this is or where this is going to go, but there's something here. And I know we can help a lot of people. And so from that first workshop, fast forward, we've done so many over the years. And we've helped tens of thousands of people, both in person and online, through our retreats, our events. And we now are at a point where we've created a breathwork teacher training because we realized, okay, we're just two people. We can only help so many. And we want to spread this ripple even farther. So we now about to have 90 certified facilitators all over the world that are spreading this work, specifically this modality that we have co-founded called Reset Breathwork.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. And how incredible it is to get such a big sign from the universe to be able to continue that and go down that direction, actually, make that a career. So, you know, I love when these things happen. It's just such, synchronicities, the signs and the symbols are just so obvious once somebody has reached their like path of destiny.
Mm.
And with that being said, I wanted to dive, since you guys are experts on breathwork, I wanted to dive a little bit more into the science and how it works and why it's so special. Like, if one of you could talk a little bit, or both can talk a little bit more about, like, why is breathwork so special? Like, what causes it, and why is it so? Because I've done it too, and it's just so out of the ordinary of other practices, modalities that I've tried. So, yeah, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, like the breath is always with us, and whether we're aware of it or not, it's something that our body will just do for us. And then, as I'm probably talking about breath, you're becoming more aware of it, and you may even take a few breaths consciously, right? So you can do it unconsciously and consciously. And the beautiful thing about that is the breath is the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious. And so when you were talking, Christian, about, yeah, I've done breath work before, and it's so different. It's such an out of body experience. And I would say to some extent, yeah, that's really what's happening is you are getting out of your conscious mind, your day to day to do list, stressed out mind, and you're getting into the deep parts of your nervous system, which is the subconscious and unconscious mind. And the more time that you can spend in that space, you are expanding essentially possibility. You are creating an opportunity for a blank slate. And most of us unconsciously go about our lives filling up our minds to the brim, whether it is social media, whether it is commuting, whether it is trying to plan to take that trip, or maybe even a funeral. Like, there's constantly always things to do, right? And so our conscious mind likes to do the things, or things in a way that is the easiest way possible. It will take the shortest shortcuts, right? And so you end up living this life on repeat. And most people don't know how to get out of those patterns and habits. And so how breath work, because there's many different types of breath work, right? But how does this long form transformational, what we call as our reset breath work method, how does that help you get out of your mind and back into your body, your subconscious, unconscious nervous system? How it does that is when you breathe in a cyclical repeated pattern over and over again, it creates what's called transient hypofrontality. And I promise I won't throw too many big words at you guys, but like what that is when you breathe in this pattern, it creates a temporary alkaline state in your conscious mind. And the conscious mind doesn't do too well in an alkaline state, meaning it just doesn't function that well. So all the neurological functioning goes to the deeper parts of your subconscious and unconscious mind. And when that happens, you create possibility. And that's the game that me and Jessica are in. And if you do that enough, you can essentially help rewire your entire brain.
Wow. That's the best explanation of breathwork I've ever heard. I think
Well, good. It's what we do.
Yeah.
it's the shortest, most concise, not leaving anything out type of explanations. So, beautiful.
Yeah.
And so when with breathwork, like, so when we're in that state, what could cause, like for example, like I experienced like certain limbs moving by themselves, and like what causes that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, especially like spastic movements or cramping, what we call tetany in the medical world, or people feel a lot of vibrations. What's happening? Okay, now I have to throw another word out there, but it's going to help explain it. Is we have five senses, right? So we have sight, hearing, taste, touch, smell. I think those are the five. I always get them messed up. So those are the five senses. And that is how our conscious mind, right, interprets our external reality. How I love describing this is, and these five senses, by the way, they're set up to notice the difference. So difference in color, difference in smell, difference in touch, right? Something smooth or rough. Something smells really nice, or I break wind and Jessica smells something that's not so nice. And so our senses are set up to notice that difference, okay? So conscious mind, five senses, set up to notice the difference. There's a sixth sense, and that sixth sense is called interoception. It's what you feel inside. So a quick thing that you can do for yourself right now, just sitting here listening to this podcast, or if you're in your car, can you feel your heartbeat? Maybe it's pretty easy. Maybe it's a little difficult. Maybe you have to think about it for a second, but eventually maybe you'll be able to feel your heartbeat. Can you feel your heartbeat in your left palm? A little bit harder. Can you feel your heartbeat in your right fingertip? Even harder. So when we're talking about breath work, and I'll answer your question about the movements and all that kind of stuff, we're flipping the game on its head, because the conscious mind, like I said, is set up to notice everything in our external world. Well, the true game of possibility and manifestation, it comes from here, it comes from inside. So if we can shut off that neocortex, dampen it is a better term, slow it down a little bit, and get into the deeper structures of the nervous system, you'll start to feel a lot more things inside yourself rather than outside. And so for the body, especially the first couple of times you do breath work, there can be a lot of physical sensations, right? And a lot of physical sensations coming from inside my body, whether it is the movement, whether it is the tingling, the spastic movements, et cetera, et cetera. And so what I call that is a neurological unwinding. You are unwinding the past, you are unwinding trauma, you are unwinding experiences that haven't been fully processed by the body because it's so focused on your external world. And so when you give your body an opportunity to have an experience that's not based upon your external world, a lot of really strange things can happen. And so I want to let you know, Christian, whatever that is, maybe we could talk about it. We could discover what that is for you, or make some connections maybe to your past experiences. But I'll just share, we're in this really unique experience where not a lot of people in the world are in the position that we are, meaning we've seen excess of 30,000 people lay on the floor and breathe for an hour. And there's certain things that you see, certain patterns that you see that occur for people based upon either what their intention is, what they want to work on, or what their past has brought up, or their emotions or their trauma. And I've seen things that are unexplainable. For instance, we've seen people where they've gone through some significant pain, emotional trauma, and whatnot, and they're in an experience, and all of a sudden their middle body elevates. They completely do like a back bend arch where just the top of their head and their heels are touching the ground. How does someone do that? We've also seen almost like depictions of people where they're almost like getting crucified on the cross. And it'll happen sometimes, but not others. And then as far as the spastic movements go, one thread that we could maybe pull from you is when your autonomic nervous system isn't fully operational, meaning that there is you need both sympathetic activation and parasympathetic activation. And when you're doing this technique, you're ramping up the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. And so the body is going to naturally want to try to get out of that situation or unwind that situation. And so it will kind of throw the kitchen sink at the situation, even though nothing needs to be done. And so those movements are really the activation of your sympathetic nervous system. And in my opinion, it's a really good thing, because that's how we are anciently set up, to activate the sympathetic nervous system so that we can get into the parasympathetic. Because I bet, Christian, after that session, did you feel amazing? Did you feel clear? Did you feel light? What did you feel?
Yeah, just very purified, clear, like present.
Yeah. And you had to do that by activating the sympathetic nervous system, creating a greater experience than your past to get into that present parasympathetic state. And that's the game.
Love it. And when you work with, leaders and, everybody that you've worked with, have you tried also like to induce like other modalities when you are in that state? Like, for example, some sort of visioning or stuff like that. We just like you to leave people be. I mean, of course, we don't want to interfere with anybody's experience, but is there any other things that you have tried when people are in that state?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned visioning. So that is actually a key component of our modality reset breathwork, is that it utilizes visualizations, because people are in that really deep subconscious state. And because they are in that state of possibility, we train our facilitators to use visualizations throughout the experience, and also do an intro meditation and also an outro meditation to take people out of the experience. But because we're in that state and there's so much possibility, yes, we have them really either envision their future or something very specific. So for example, we do monthly breathwork workshops online, and every single theme is different. This past one was breathwork for love and for romance. And so we have people, really visualize either their dream partner. Some people were single, or if they're in a relationship, really visualize the next level of their partnership and what they really desire, and maybe the deeper levels of connection, of trust, of adventure, whatever it is, but really seeing that and playing that out. So we guide people through that. And it's amazing when people come out and being able to see that in that breathwork experience, and then they're far more likely to go out and actually create that in their external reality, even more so than if they were just to sit down and visualize that without breathwork, because we are bringing together both the mind and the body. And that's why people often will say, well, I've been doing the affirmations. I've been saying, I am worthy, or I am worthy of love, but something's just not clicking, or it's not sticking, or I've got my vision board and I can see what I want to manifest, but why isn't it happening? And that's because we're missing the emotional component. Dr. Joe Dispenza says that intentional thought, so like having that clear vision, that clear goal, that clear desire, plus an elevated emotional state will then equal transformation. So in knowing that, that's a really key component of our breathwork experiences, because we've seen so many people, especially leaders, entrepreneurs, it's like maybe within a few weeks, months, maybe, a year or two, they're like, I am living what I saw in breathwork. And that's the coolest thing for us.
Wow, that's beautiful. And yeah, I can really contest to, that when you charge something with emotions, it just happens so much faster. As an example in my own life, I mean, you guys know how much I love tea, right? And
Yes.
I started my own little tea blog. It's called the besttealeaves.com. And I'm actually going to the World Tea Expo in 2024, which is in March. And I was like, you know what? I want to apply for a press pass, because, I have the blog and blah, blah. And because I was so excited about it, and like, boom, I got a press pass for the World Tea Expo. Like, what are the chances for that? Because everything was just I'm so excited. Let's go. So it's really cool to see how the body and the mind just are so connected, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
go ahead.
And we need both of them to work together.
Yeah.
Right. That's really, really the key.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people are just coming from the mind. They're just trying to think their way through or repeat those affirmations. But when you can bring the two together, that's when you create the most healing, the most transformation. We were actually just on a call with one of our business clients yesterday, who is one of our certified facilitators, and she was sharing just the most incredible experience that she led. She led a breathwork workshop, and she had a woman who works in hospice care and who has been in that field for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And this facilitator is very passionate about helping people that are social workers, who are therapists, who are in hospice, they're holding a lot, right? They're holding so much grief and trauma and emotions, and, really just helping them to clear that. And this woman, it was a student of hers, came out and she was like, oh my gosh, like she just felt so lit up. And she's like, I basically just like feeling like alive again, right? There was so much emotion, so much energy moving through her. And she was like, I just got so clear. I saw this vision of me stepping away from my career that I've had for decades. And I'm going to make a documentary about what's happening in this industry. And I'm going to bring it to the Sundance Film Festival. And she was just so clear and certain on it. And she is now making it happen within a few weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like that. So it just speaks to that the importance of the emotionality behind it, and also getting into a space, and breathwork can get you there really fast, of that clarity, so that you can see what's ahead and what it is that you really desire, and really know inside, like, I can make this happen, and not let fear get in the way.
Wow, beautiful. Yeah, breathwork is such a powerful technique, and it's just I'm so honored and grateful that you guys are doing this work, because imagine all the lives that you guys have impacted that really have just changed so many other people's lives. And
Mhm.
a lot of times we don't think about all the lives that we actually impact and affect. So kudos to you. you know
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much. And I know that, with this podcast, you're reaching a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general. And I have to say, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like you're getting caught up in the day to day. Maybe you're in the grind, you're on mission. And sometimes you forget to like look up and see like, wow, like I have really made an impact. Like I have really made a difference. Sometimes we have to like really sit with that and celebrate that, because it's easy to forget when you're just going, going, going. And I just wanted to share, in case this is helpful for someone, like something that's really helped us is to ask people for testimonials, of course, and save them in like a Google Drive folder, whether it's like testimonials that people write for you, or video testimonials, or even DMs or messages that people send you, and put those into a Google Drive folder. One, it's great for branding, right? And for like your landing pages, but also it's really great as a reminder of like, there's days, which it's inevitable that there's gonna be days where you feel like you're an imposter,
Oh yeah.
where you feel like, what am I doing? Even if you're like, have all this massive success, you're like, you can question yourself. It's part of being human. The mind is trying to protect us. And so having that where you can go back, it's like a vault, right? You can go back into that vault and be like, oh yeah, like I am making a difference and I am really helping people. And it also helps to remind yourself of like why you're doing this thing, and to keep going. And so thank you for that reflection. And I hope that like just that doing that can be helpful for somebody else, because it definitely has helped us to really keep going and serve more people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, collecting testimonials is also something I started too late in my business. So the sooner you start, the better, for sure.
Yeah.
And so, speaking about those, spiritualpreneurs and a lot of people who desire you know, to be that, archetype, like, what do you have any tips or practical advice? Like, how do you find, I don't know, like your passion, or how can you work towards that direction of becoming what you're meant to do and actually doing it as a career? Like, can
Yeah.
you speak to that?
Yeah, I feel like I'll have an answer and
Mhm.
you'll have an answer for
Yeah,
this, because
yeah.
I think everyone's different with this. But for me, I'm somebody where I need to wait to respond. Meaning, like, it's really important for me to take an action and then really wait for that response. So another term I guess you could use is like throw as much spaghetti at the wall. Like, get messy. Like, it's more important in the beginning to figure out what you don't want to do than it is what you do want to do. And for me, I mean, we don't have enough time in this podcast to talk about all the things that I've done, whether it is, I did hospice care. I worked in multiple different settings, including corporate at Lifetime. I mean, obviously, I'm a naturopathic physician, board certified family practitioner, but I did everything from like joint injections, stem cells, to treating patients with Lyme and mold disease. And so it's like, it's all part of the process. So if you get in the way, or you try to, I see where people withhold their greatness, when in all reality, if they just threw some spaghetti at the wall, they would get so much farther, so much faster. And so I see people hold themselves back because they're like, oh, I'm not exactly sure what my avatar is, or like what my pitch is to that avatar. And then forget all that. Like, truly start with who you were 6 months ago, 6 years ago, 60 years ago. It doesn't matter. And serve that person. What does that person need? What have been some of the biggest breakthroughs that you've had in your life? And really serve that person, and things will start to progress much quicker for you. Analysis paralysis
Mm.
is so real. And me and Jessica, you guys, we got to six figures within our business before we even had a legitimate website. Like, get going. I can't tell you how many times people are like, well, what about my business cards? I'm like, business cards, schmizness cards, like, forget it. Like, if you want to help people, what is your magic sauce? Like, what do people know you for? And like, just start with that and get some clients. Because otherwise, if you don't have clients or you don't have a product line, you're not in business. You're just entertaining it. Me and Jessica like to call those businesses like a lookalike business. It's like, it really, I mean, we've talked to people where like they have like 3 assistants and 2 websites and blah, blah, blah. It's like, so what's your client load? Like, oh, well, I haven't had a client in like 6 months, blah, blah. Forget that business and start a real one. So I know I went over all these topics, but like, I'm just super passionate about it because I think there's so many incredible healers out there that me and Jessica have seen that have been in the business for decades. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
And there's so much pressure on like having the clarity and like having it look a certain way. I'm going to wait till I'm ready. And like, oh, I got to get all these things in line before then I can actually go. Yeah. Like Cory said, I mean, like screw that. Like, get out of your own way. It doesn't have to look a certain way. Just get out there and serve people and you'll figure out along the way. And a lot of people ask us, like, how did you guys grow so quickly? How are you to a multiple, 6-figure business already in just like 3-4 years?
2.5 years.
Yeah, 2.5 years. And then now on the way to 7 figures, like how? And it's like, because we just moved. We like literally we're moving, we're taking action. And I believe that action breeds clarity. Don't sit here and wait for the clarity and wait for the universe. Hey, like we're all about the woo, but like you've also got to take action and get in the game. And you're going to figure it out along the way. And that's how we've operated our business. It's like we go and we trust we're going to figure it out.
Yeah. You can't tell me right now, if you haven't had clients for the last, 3 to 6 months and things are stagnant within your business, there isn't like a start over, but it's like, get radical and be like, what are the clients that I've served in the past? Hey, can I do a free session for you? Can I do a trial period of like 5 clients and like do that for free, get 5 testimonials as a result for that. And then also a ton of content because now I'm totally changing up my programming as a result of that. It's like, bite the bullet, do something like that, get clients under your belt. And that's what creates a manifestation. Cause now it's like, okay, you took on 5 clients. And don't tell me boo-hoo, like, oh, I'm not bringing in money. It's like when you do that, you're going to get yourself in action. I guarantee you that there's probably going to be 1 or 2 clients that are going to see what you're doing on social media, see what you're doing on your blog posts, and be like, oh, wow, you helped that person with that thing. Can you help me too? Now you got a real client.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get in action, people. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's really not complicated. Yeah, and I'm with you on that, Bob, because I think there's so many beautiful people who have such great talents and gifts, and just
oh my God,
just start sharing that. Who gives a shit how it looks? Just do it. You know what I mean? You can always polish it later how it looks.
Yeah. And honestly, like right now, I think what's working so well is the unpolished. And not necessarily like super rough around the edges, but just the more real. And that's what people are looking for. And I don't care if we post something and like 10 people like it or 1,000 people like it. It's like, it's about the engagement and showing up and having a presence. Here's a case in point. So one of the other things that I did before I was the healing couple and do breathwork full time is I actually worked at a community college. I taught biology 101. And this was like 12 years ago. So I taught at a community college, right? And Jessica has a yoga class. So fast forward to present day. Jessica has a yoga class. And she teaches on Sunset Cliffs. It's amazing every Saturday. And my job is to check people in. And so I'm a physician, but like that's my job. So I'm checking people in. I can do that. And there's this girl, cute couple, like come up to them. Hey, Dr. Cory, I'm not teaching the class. Don't worry. But I'm just checking you in or checking people in. Can I have your first name? And she goes, Stephanie. And I was like, do I know you? And she goes, yeah, you used to teach me at South Mountain Community College in Arizona like 10, 12 years ago. I was like, oh my God, no way. And she goes, I've been following you ever since. I followed you when you had your doctor account. And then when you and Jessica had a couple other accounts. And I'm just so inspired. And like, I'm from Phoenix still, but I came out to San Diego. We're on a vacation and I just really want to experience what you guys are all about. I was like, holy shit, this is so cool. And I told her, I was like, hey, I don't have time. Love to talk to you after the class. And we didn't get to connect. She had something come up. She DM'd us and she was so sorry, appreciated the class. And fast forward to like yesterday, she applied for our teacher training. Yeah. And I was like, damn, not only what a full circle moment, but just really speaking to this concept of like, just keep showing up because you have no idea. I had no idea Stephanie from 10, 12 years ago, 3, 4 Instagram accounts ago had followed us all the way to this moment. And then even in the application, she goes, I am so excited because I had no idea you were even offering this until I saw Jessica's story just offhand. It wasn't even like a hard promotional post of like the fact you guys are doing this. And the only regret I have is that I wanted to do this sooner if I knew it was there. And so just know, like, you have no idea who's watching and listening. And as long as you just keep showing up as yourself, people will watch, people will listen, you will create a following. Like it'll be natural. But yeah, I just want to share that story because it's so powerful.
Beautiful. I love that. And in order to show up, authentically and fully, like, is there anything, you want to share with people how that can be done? Because I mean, I have my take on it, but I would love to hear yours because I love the ramble. It's good. Let's keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one I would say is do it scared. People say like, oh, like, you guys it just seems so easy. It seems so natural for you to show up on podcasts or show up in front of hundreds of people and like speak. And it's like, how do you do that? I'm so terrified. And I'm like, yeah, I'm terrified too. I'm shaking up there on stage and I'm still doing it anyway. So I say, do it scared. Because then you will also, it will start to become more natural, right? Like I couldn't imagine myself doing what I'm doing today. Like if you had told my 18-year-old self this is what I'd be doing, she would be like, are you nuts? like you can just get up in front of people and like, right? Like it would be crazy to me, but it starts to become more and more normal the more that you just challenge yourself. So again, like I want to come back to the action. It's like not only does action breed clarity, but also action breeds confidence. Don't wait for the confidence. Like it's because guess what? It will never, ever come.
Nope, not coming.
It's not coming.
It's not coming.
So might as well take the action. And then that whatever that thing is, you're going to feel a little more comfortable with that. You're going to feel more you're like, oh, I did that. That's how you get the confidence. Then you go do another thing. You stretch yourself a little bit more and you complete that. You look back like, holy shit, like I did that. And you start to feel more confident. And that just keeps, that just snowballs. And then the other thing I'll say is, of course, breath work. Breath work has helped me to especially before going into those bigger moments, like it's helped me to like, be like, okay, yes, you can do this. And it like to not let the fear and the self-doubt take me out. Breathwork helps me to stay in the zone and stay in the game so that I can keep showing up. And so I'd say those two things is the action and then like come back. And we often say, we even have this on like affirmation cards that we give to people in our breathwork events is like breathe and remember who the F you are. And breathwork will help you to do that so that you keep showing up.
Yeah. I was gonna, it's life is really not that complicated. You know what I mean? People always think, oh, we gotta have this strategy and this tool and this trick and this and that. But it all just comes back to just doing it.
Right. Yeah. And also knowing who you are, and I think that can sometimes take a little bit of time. But like recognizing too, even if you have a small community, like what are you known for? Like, what do people say about you? Like, we know one thing that really makes me and Jessica unique is that we do this thing together. Like, it's not really that common. And also we know most people feel like we're the guy and girl next door. And so some people may look at that as vanilla. Okay, fine. See you later. Great. That's a distinguishing characteristic. And now we've weeded out people that are not our community. But if that's what you're really looking for, that like wholesomeness, that like I'm talking to a friend, I'm talking to somebody that I know that's a next door neighbor, then yeah, we're the people for you. And so knowing that about yourself and then owning that rather than trying to be all these other things, which is exhausting, is so beneficial when it comes to showing up. Just own who you are.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, very well said. And I think when people just follow their authenticity and who they are themselves. I mean, there's nothing you need to change. I think people, whoever's listening, like, you're perfect as you are. Just start.
Mm-hmm.
Start.
Yeah, like I was watching a TikTok the other day, and there is a guy who's crushing it, by the way, doing so well with his business and social media, and this is his business. So he creates videos of online interviews. Have you seen this guy before?
No, no, no,
He so,
no, another guy. Oh my god, just tell me about it. Okay,
yeah, yeah. On so he does interviews, but it's like on Zoom, and he like records, like you can see his phone recording it. So he must just like screen capture or record capture. And so he will apply legitimately for these jobs. But then when he gets on the interview, he creates these hilarious scenarios where he's almost like trolling the interviewer. It's not like really rude or mean or anything, but there's this one video me and Jessica were watching this week where he gets on, right? So you can see him on the top of the screen and then the interviewer woman on the bottom of the screen. And he's in his car, like kind of distracted. And she's like, sir, like, you're in your car. Like, do we need to do this another time? He's like, no. I'm just parking. I'm just gonna park. He's not parking. He pulls up through a McDonald's drive-through and then starts ordering a fish sandwich while he's on this interview. And the lady is like, "Yo, you're ordering a fish sandwich." He's like, No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And then at the end of the interview, he goes, or she goes, "Is there anything that you would like to know from me?" Because clearly you could tell she's like done with this guy. And he goes, "Oh, do you have any ketchup? I mean," and so it's like obviously you're not going to be necessarily a person that's like, "Oh, that's inspirational, and now that's what I want to do with my life." But I think we live in such an amazing time where you can make a living doing just about anything. There's a girl we talk about during our teacher training that farts in jars, Christian. She farts in jars and she makes 300K a year. She sells jars full of farts. Whatever. But like, just I try to share this with people in the community just to let you know, like, let's laugh a little bit because it's hilarious and ridiculous. And like, who would do that? But like, that's a possibility. So if you want to be a healer, if you want to be a spiritual entrepreneur and legitimately help people with a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual thing, like, you are so much more legitimate than these two examples that I just shared. So like, get on the damn horse, get in the bus and drive, you know? That's all I needed. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah.
I love it. I love how you're getting people fired up every time. Every time Cory speaks, he's like, "Let's get it going." This is beautiful. So, yeah, another example of just being themselves, being authentic. And I think there's so much power in just being you, and the world needs you. Doesn't need the person next door, because the person next door needs to be the person who they are. You understand? So much power. Okay, so beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So for the next part of the podcast, I would love to talk a little bit more about, like, online tools, online branding, website, all that kind of stuff. When did you guys start thinking about, okay, I think it's time to need a website? Was that like half a year in, 2 years in? Like, what was that like? And yeah, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so it was about almost a year in from when we did that first breathwork workshop that more and more people were trying to find us online because people were spreading the word. And so we're like, okay, it'd be good to have some sort of online presence, right? So we created a website on Squarespace. And actually, I shouldn't even say I'm not gonna take the credit. Cory created it. And he was like, hey, I'm a doctor. I don't know anything about this stuff, but like, hey, I'm gonna figure it out because we're on a mission, right? And I think that's really important as an entrepreneur, is like, yeah, there's gonna be some things and some skills that maybe you don't have. Either you outsource them, or it's like, hey, figuring it out yourself. And so you created this website on Squarespace, and it was good enough at the time, right? Like, it did what it needed to do. People were able to find us if they were to Google us. They were able to go to healingcouple.com, and they were able to find out when our next event was, and they were able to find our services, and they were able to reach out to us. So like, right there, that's really all that we needed. And so that was great. And then about 2 years in is then when we had another team work on our website, spruce it up a little bit. So there was an upgrade there, but I will say the ultimate upgrade is in working with you, Christian. And by the way, Christian did not pay us to say this. Like, I mean, really just authentically, I just want to say, like, you've taken our website to the next level. But we have been in business for, coming up on 4 years full time. And now we're at that point. But for us, it was just like, as long as we had like the bare minimum, like where I see a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs get caught up is they're spending way too much time on the website and like, oh, like my about page and this and that. And they don't even have any clients. So it's like, okay, get the bare minimum and then go out there and serve. So that's just been our personal journey as far as like the timeline and what that's looked like for us. But I do believe it's important, but it's not the most important thing when you're just getting started.
Beautiful. Yeah, I agree. And also, in terms of platform choice, like choose something that's simple that you know how to work with, and you can get started and can get off the ground, because you don't need all the bells and whistles when you start out. Do start simple. That is my advice for anybody who's starting out. And the clients that we attract at Love Pixel are generally the ones who are already more established, have been in the business industry for a couple of years, and they're looking to just kind of like consolidate the offers, really have a little bit more clear of a offering structure, website structure, to kind of direct the traffic that's already on there. So yeah, for sure. And in terms of like your future outlook for your business, like, what do you envision? Like, what do you call in? What are you excited about, and how do you see the healing couple evolve currently?
We love seeing other people win. I love that. And so for us, we've seen, tens of thousands of people through our group experiences, one-on-ones, other programs and whatnot. And so there's only so many people that we can see and heal. And so for us, our mission really over the last almost 3 years now has been to help other people do what we do. And that's been the next step for us. And so I know we've teased it a little bit in this podcast, we have a level 1 breathwork teacher training. So you learn how to facilitate the reset breathwork method. And so, in the last couple of years, we've, by the end of this year, we're going to have well over 100 certified facilitators in well over 30 states, 9 different countries across the globe. And I think what's so amazing for us, almost as like parents, is like seeing people certified and then actually seeing them go do the work. Because another thing that we really take a stand behind is, hey, you've probably done a lot of certifications, you've done a lot of other programs, but how much have you actually implemented from that? And so for us, the nature of the game is really teaching these people how to become certified facilitators, and then helping them build their businesses and grow and change their lives, help them walk away from their full-time jobs that they either don't like, don't want to continue, or resent. We help people that are stay-at-home moms like create side gigs. We help medical professionals integrate breathwork within their businesses. So it's really been a labor of love seeing other people take breathwork and really run with it. There's been so many fun stories. Like, we have somebody who is a realtor who came in and she was really scared. She's like, never done certification before. I don't know, but I'm gonna really give it my all. And she was an incredible facilitator. She graduated and now she uses breathwork. She creates breathwork ceremonies at open houses for people that are selling their homes. So prospective buyers can come in and have an experience inside a home that may be potentially theirs. I mean, it's just like stuff that I could never, ever have thought up of. And we would have never been able to serve those people. But now we know that kind of stuff is happening around the world at all times. And I couldn't be happier about it.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, being of service, helping others, So, kudos to you, and I'm really, all the respect for all the beautiful work that you guys are putting out there. And one more question before we close the podcast. What else are you looking to call in this year, or the coming years for the healing couple? Is there anything else you want to send out in the universe and send out in this podcast? I always like to give people a little, intention around at the end of the podcast.
Wow. I love that. I'm actually getting emotional right now. So thank you for this question. I love this. The word that's really been coming through for me in the beginning of 2024 here is the word legacy. So there's many different ways in which we've been creating and building a legacy through a lot of things that we've been talking about on this podcast, especially with what Cory was talking about with breathwork teacher training. That's been a huge way for us to like just spread such a ripple around the world. And also, when I think of legacy, I also think of us passing down, just who we are through having our own children. And that's, I have to be honest, it's something that hasn't been quite on my radar because we've been so focused on our business and like our mission. But I also realized, like, wait a minute, that's a part of our mission too. Like, that's a part of why we're here, is to have children, to start our own family. And in great hopes that we can like really impart like the wisdom, the knowledge, our journeys, like, with them, and share that with them and inspire them to do whatever it is that they want to do and really leave a mark on this planet and make it a better place as well. And so what we're calling in like this year is just preparing for that, really creating a strong foundation to welcome that in. And I see that for us in 2025 of really, starting our family. But this year is really about the preparation for that, and really keeping that bigger and deeper why at the forefront. And it really, really excites me. And I just feel like there's a whole another level of purpose that is about to unfold.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm really excited for you, and I can take the parent role here because I'm already a parent, already have a child that's 5 years old. So a really cool piece of advice that I can share with you guys here in the podcast is, I was also in a situation of like, oh, you know what? Like, I think I should just like, shouldn't I spend more time with my child and just like make sure that he has everything that he needs and just him, and it's like, but then I met this person, I don't remember who it was, and he said, you know what? Like, children, they learn just by watching you, right? And so if you don't follow your passion and do the things you need to do, then they're not gonna see this. I was like, oh, thank you, because I needed this permission slip to keep going in my business. I was like focusing a lot of time for my child and this and that. It's like, but it's really, how do you expect your children to see differently if you don't do it?
Yes.
Right.
So just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing everything right.
Thank you for that. I love
Yeah,
that. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah. It really is just it's a legacy conversation. It's like carrying the torch and
Yes.
actively carrying that torch, right? Like living out your dream, your destiny, your vision. And they see that, and that allows them the opportunity to pick up their own torch and carry it along as well. And it's just like one after the other, like a relay. So I love that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are so afraid about being bad parents. I know it's this conversation that we've had, especially being entrepreneurs, because we can feel sometimes like your business is your baby. I know I felt that. And I love this connection that you're bringing in, where it's like, no, live out your baby, live out your dream, this one, because it will sincerely inspire and motivate and, quite honestly, program your kid for their own success. Like, they're going to see what's possible and see what it looks like to have a parent and adult really go for it. And I think naturally they'll go for it in their own way.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you for that, and thanks for carrying the torch forward one for one. And yeah, that's what we're doing. We're just inspiring each other, and you know keep sharing the love and the light until everybody's reached on the planet. That wants it. And so thank you so much for sharing your love, your light, your talent, your wisdom with us. And yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mm.
So welcome.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. Thank
Thank you.
you.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, bye.